And we are on the air. All right. So, hello, Brandon.
What's up?
Greetings, my good man. Greetings. So, what is going on, my good man? What is I say the word on the street?
Uh oh snap! I forgot there's an Apple event happening soon.
Another one?
Yeah,
What is it going? You think it's going to be for what the laptops and iPad?
yeah, I believe so. I think it's this week.
Well, Google just had one this week. Um, I will get to that
No,
in just a moment. I know that you added I know that you added a article in the mix for the iPhone, and I want you to talk about this one because it's interesting if it ever comes to pass. So let
That's
me
so
pull it
apparent.
up.
So apparently, the Apple is no longer doing the event for this month, which kind of shocking. They normally have events in October.
They normally, yeah, well, depends on how soon they end up having their iPhone event or their
No, but
iPhone reveal.
usually they have the iPhones and sometimes iPads in September, the flagship ones, and then they normally have like other things in October, whatever.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
So I got your article on the front screen. The
Mm-hmm.
iPhone Fold.
Uh-huh.
So you think that Apple is going to get into the folding phone?
Yes. And
Now,
and one of the things that the article said that it said that it's expected to in 2023,
ooh,
which is basically next year. Um, one of the things that a lot of the rumors have been saying that next year's iPhone is supposed to they're going to change the Pro Max to Ultra. I honestly think they're going to change the I think they're going to make this phone the iPhone Ultra
I mean
instead of
that makes sense for their naming convention.
yeah
I mean, why
that would
if you
make
call it a
sense.
fold, if you call it a fold, then you just copying Samsung. But you call this the
Yes.
iPhone Ultra. I mean, a folding screen that's different from everybody else's is kind of ultrally different.
Yep, and so that's why I think they're gonna end up calling this the Fold the iPhone Ultra, and they're just gonna remain calling the iPhone uh 15 Pro Max or whatever. I think they're gonna still keep that as is.
Okay. What a eh, I mean, the thing is Apple. If Apple goes with a folding screen, that means that they validate that folding phones is what people want. But the thing is, like I just read an article a couple of days ago.
I don't think a lot of people want it.
I don't know, man. Hey, look, I get customers that hop in the car and they see my phone for the
No,
first
but like I
time.
no, but I don't even think a lot of people even see them out there because first of all, like the screens are too big. But I would imagine if Apple were to throw it out in the streets, people will probably end up grabbing it
I think that Apple could
because a
put
lot
literally. I
because
think
if you
Apple
really
could put an
think
iPhone turd out there and people will grab it and put it real fast. Me personally.
no, because see the thing is, dude, that if people look at this, I mean, if people actually if there's a fold version that has iOS on it, people are going to grab it because
Yeah,
obviously they don't want the Android system. I mean, they don't want the Android operating system.
I think that they want the Android perks. They just don't want to leave their system. See, there's a difference. I think that
No.
people like the idea behind Android, but the idea of leaving their happy go lucky lifestyle behind is what people don't like.
Right, they don't want the fold. I mean, they want the fold with iMessage and FaceTime.
Right. That's pretty much what it is.
Exactly.
But the thing is, here's the thing: if I had to go by the way that customers react to my phone when they see it, it's in shock and awe because no, they don't see it in the wild a lot.
Exactly, dude, because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Well, they don't know what it is because there's not that many people who have it.
Exactly. A lot of people don't care for that big of a phone like that. But I promise you, if there's an Apple version of it, people are going to want to buy it.
They are going to want to buy it, but that's what I'm saying
But
is
but but
is
but it's
they're
not going to be a lot.
On the Android side, a lot of people are just mildly content with keeping with their own, slab phone, like the new Pixel, right? The Pixel is just a slab phone all over again. Me personally, they're not even competing on specs, so it's just like, yo, Apple's version of a geeky side is Android, and Android on Google is the Pixel.
But I will tell you this. I do see Pixel making a foldable phone in 2 years.
Mm, they need
Hmm.
to, believe me, they need to because
No, wait, they will. They will.
the second they do, it's the second
But
I jump off Samsung.
hold on. It's gonna take Apple. It's going to have to take Apple for them to do it first, and then they'll feel comfortable doing it.
Hmm. Hey, look, as a
Once they see that there's an audience for it, they're gonna throw it out in the streets too.
but here's the thing, as a person who has three folds, okay, I have the fold 2, the 3, and the 4. Okay, for a person who has those, I do not like the clamshell version of a fold. I really don't.
All right.
I really don't like the clamshell version. Here's the thing. It gives you a bigger screen on the inside, but the problem is it doesn't give you the flexibility that you're looking for. And I think that if Apple would do it, they would have to go against the grain and put the screen on the outside edge.
Mm-hmm.
Even though No Radio has automatically said, yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, the screen is not protected. I don't think people care. I think that it's going to come down to, if you want to gain more traction and change the way the industry is going, having the screen fold on the outside edge is going to be the game changer, whoever masters it. That's the way I look at it. Because folding it on the inside, it's just, what it does is it kind of hides away the potential of it, and then you're like compromising. You're doing a lot of compromise.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my point of view anyway. If you have one continuous screen, now that screen can be almost anything you want it to be. It doesn't have to be that, oh, the
I
screen on the
mean,
outside
right
is not
now,
too small and the one on the inside is too big.
I mean, right now, and I mean, Samsung is just doing. I mean, right now, Samsung is just experimenting
They
and
are,
just
well, they're
they're
experimenting with a
throwing it
lot of
out
people's
there.
money.
They're throwing it out there, and I guess people are just like, oh, this is nice, this is different. But once Apple uh makes her own version of it, then people are gonna be, and that sense is probably gonna waken up by the innovation. It's probably gonna be focused on, well, this is what people want and this and that. I mean, kind of like how their phones are now.
Yeah,
So, and then once Google or whomever after that decides to make a foldable phone, then that's where that market's gonna look nice.
yeah. I just
Because
think
right
that.
now there's right now, to be honest with you, the phone it's nice, but it's boring.
Oh, you talking about the Fold, like the Samsung
Yes,
Fold?
yes,
It has its ups and it has its downs. Like I said,
right.
as a person who uses it, the benefits of having a bigger screen on demand is wonderful, but that outside screen is a compromise.
Right.
That's why I keep saying, like, the screen needs to go around the outside edge. Then you can have, like, let's say a 6-inch front as a phone, but then open it up to an 8-inch tablet.
Yeah.
but it'll still be all one screen, and you just do it from there. But Apple, I feel like Apple's probably going to end up being the only one that's going to end up doing it. They're going to just throw care to the wind, don't care, because understand, people scratch up that screen. Guess what? You got to buy the screen from Apple. So if anything, actually making it more flimsy works to their benefit. If you think of it from a nefarious, Dr. Evil point of view, if you make the screen more flimsy and people scratch the screen up and not taking care of it, guess where they got to come back for the screen? Back to Apple. So that's my 2 cents on that one. All right, so
I mean, yeah, I don't even want to think of what the cost is to even repair it.
It won't be a whole lot on their end, but here's the thing.
I'm talking about the consumer's end.
Oh, on the consumer end, it's going to be ridiculous.
I could see
consumer end, but like if you have Apple Care, then you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, the Apple Care is probably going to be $130 more, and the deductible is probably going to be like $50 versus $29.
Oh, you know it. It.
I'm surprised the deductible and everything is still the same price.
All right, so how about this one, sir? How about this one? I wish no radio were here. I would have talked about that one, but this one popped up on everybody's radar this week, so everybody was throwing their hat into the ring, calling out AT&T and T-Mobile. T-Mobile calling out AT&T for the FirstNet. So this is lightreading.com, and AT&T FirstNet is being under scrutinized for performance by no other than T-Mobile. So don't you find that kind of funny? The little guy is like pointing at the big guy going, "We don't think that you're doing a good job."
I mean, like we have said behind closed doors, T-Mobile is still under construction and AT&T is AT&T.
Yeah, but here's the thing. From my testing, right, one of the things I have noticed about AT&T, and this is just in DC, I'm going when I end up going to New York, I'm gonna be able to have a little bit larger footprint. But even when I went back home to North Carolina, AT&T was always just like barely mediocre.
Right.
It wasn't astounding. It wasn't like eye-poppingly crazy. It was like just good enough, right? And so with that, it's like, how do you get to the place where you're like, hey, hold on one second.
They're good.
But no, I'm just saying, like, with AT&T, it all my testing and everything, it seems like AT&T barely does it. It's like barely. And when I say barely, I mean like barely gets it just right? It'll be like 10 or 15 megabits per second. 10 or 15, 5 or 10, 5 or 10, 10 or 15. But here's the thing, on 4K video, it does good. But speeds are wildly all over the place.
And they always will be. Because
I think that's the reason why T-Mobile's calling them out. Is like, yo, your network is inconsistent. Ours is small, but at least within our footprint, we're consistent. That's how I look at it. How you supposed to be offering up, first responders network with such an inconsistent network?
One of the things that I will say, dude, is that every market is different. And every market is different, and a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of people don't understand each market has their politics, their engineers and money, and obviously the amount of subscribers. And that's when and stuff like that, because a lot of people always say, oh, AT&T is the best in Texas, and this and that, but when I tested it, dude, it was not the best. And my brother has AT&T, and it's all right, but
But you know what?
T-Mobile, Verizon, I would say are probably
Well,
the
they're gonna
best here in
probably be the
Houston.
better ones.
Yeah,
I bet if your brother, next time you talk to your brother, this is what you should ask him to do. Take his
he's
AT&T
not tech
line.
savvy. He's not tech
No,
savvy,
no,
dude.
but he's done speed test, right?
He don't have it.
Well, if you ever get a chance to get a hold of his line for him, this is what I tell you to do. Go near government buildings that 18, like I bet $1 to a doornail that
Dude, honestly,
that
I wouldn't be
AT&T
surprised. I wouldn't
blows
be,
apart every single time you get near a government building.
dude. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if half of those agencies are on Verizon.
They might be,
I
but
wouldn't be
it's something,
surprised. But a lot of
I've noticed. But it's something I've noticed with AT&T is in the suburbs they're mediocre.
the
Barely
carriers
get
are
above
all
20.
mediocre. All of the
No,
carriers are
no,
medi.
no. Even like here you go. Even before N41, Washington D.C., the metro area for me, right? T-Mobile was pretty solid and it was averaging like 50, 60 megabits per second over this whole region before N41 showed up. Okay,
Yeah.
Verizon was about 20, 30, but AT&T would be 5, 7.
Hmm.
Now remember, AT&T is the oldest of all three networks.
Yeah,
AT&T
they
is the oldest,
right.
which means
They
that you would think that they would be the ones that have like the better deals, maybe even the better rooftop positioning for their antennas. But how is it that your cell sites are mediocre at best until you get near the government buildings? And when I get around the government buildings, it shoots up 300%. That's what I'm saying.
yes.
That's the inconsistency I'm seeing with all my testing. Is like Verizon and AT&T will get better as you get closer towards the government side, but residential, they're like, we're good. T-Mobile's put N41 everywhere. It's up on Capitol Hill and all the way in the valley, and all the way in the
it's
creek of.
everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's everywhere. Even when Sprint had Band 41 here in Houston, it was everywhere.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I test near I test near Capitol Hill, and from time to time, AT&T will give me like 200 and 300 megabits per second. But when I go, like, I just posted some videos this past week, and I was in Rock Creek Park. It's literally inside of a valley. Okay, it's in a valley near a river, and
Hmm.
I can't even open a web page. But T-Mobile has it on Capitol Hill, on the street, and inside the valley. So that's what I'm saying is how is it that the little baby one, T-Mobile, is able to cover three different demographics, but AT&T being the older brother basically can't cover one, barely cover two.
Well, let's face it, AT&T has done a 360. I mean, has adopted three companies: Warner Media, DirecTV, and they still disconnect DSL customers.
They disconnect DSL customers because they don't want to pay for them.
They don't want to
They
pay.
don't want
They
to
don't want to
upgrade
pay
them.
for them, and they don't even bother doing like a 30, 40 mega 30, 50 megabyte plan for at least $50, $60 a month.
Have you ever heard that mantra saying it's cheaper to keep her? So like divorcing your wife is more expensive than keeping her.
Right,
Well, eight.
especially if
Well,
she's a shopaholic.
yeah, but look, in AT&T's term, it's cheaper to cut you off.
Yeah,
It's cheaper for AT&T to let them go. Basically,
right,
like, yo, we're not going to upgrade you, and we're going to disconnect this stuff all together, than to just try to figure out a way to get you service.
right.
And I feel like the way that telecom companies are, and minus present company, I know radio's in the telecom business, but I feel like these companies have the money, they just don't do it because they waiting for the money, and the federal government jumps up and goes, "Well, all right, so we got to pay you to stretch your network out." Well, why
Uh-huh.
were you? Why my thing is why weren't you doing that in the first place? That's my
Uh,
thing. Why
I
weren't you
rem
stretching your network out? If you have the resources to be able to stretch, all of a sudden when the government dollars show up, why weren't you doing it in the first place? Oh, because somebody else is fitting the bill. That's why.
I remember reading somewhere near Fort Worth where the area literally has no internet at all.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and you would think those 25 miles or whatever were AT&T's headquarters, they would have the heart to put internet there, and they don't.
hold on one second, Brandon. What's up, Speed Tech? Reporting live from Cali. What's up, man?
The
But
Bay
no,
Area.
the Bay. He in the Bay.
But yeah, dude, they don't care.
That look, here you go. What was it? It was a guy in Michigan who's building his own ISP because Comcast wanted to charge him an arm, a leg, and a hip to
He should have.
to bring cable to him.
And I'm pretty sure you're gonna see more of that, dude. I'm pretty sure if more people say, hey, if they get a group of people and they're like, hey, we want internet, whatever, they could tell the FCC, hey, we get some funds for our area? Our area is underserved and stuff like that. OSPTech
Yeah.
says I'm on AT&T right now.
Ah. What's the
Calls the
performance like, sir?
service.
Tell me what the performance is like, man. I saw some of his speed test postings. It still looks bad.
You know,
Oh,
the
he said
results are
T-Mobile and
very
Verizon are
different.
trash.
The results are
Ooh.
definitely different from where he is from to where he's at now.
Right. But here's the thing. I think that with T-Mobile ruffling the feathers, quote unquote, for AT&T, it makes sense for me. Go after them. AT&T is the
Mhm.
only reason why they're expanding their coverage is because of government contract. I'll do that. I'll check the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think it's the government contracts. That's the only thing. AT&T would never had expanded its borders if it wasn't for the fact that the federal government
But you know what
said,
I
"Hey,
find so funny, dude? That they
what's that?"
that they won't build, but they'll go buy Mexican. They'll go buy two Mexican companies.
Because it's cheaper to buy. Hey, no radio said it multiple times. It's cheaper to buy.
No, but I'm pretty sure they're still not doing much down there.
They're not, but remember, people don't go to Mexico. They go to the resorts. So where do you think those cell phone coverages are at? They're not.
I'm still saying like the major cities like Monterrey, Tijuana, Mexico City, Guadalajara,
Yeah,
Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, all those other cities. Like obviously people live there, and then Mexico City has more people than New York City.
really?
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it's very populated down there.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I look, my take on this is maybe AT&T and Verizon needs to start losing these government contracts for them to really realize that hey, there's competition in the field. That's what I think. Because right now, like AT&T could
Well,
easily give
I mean all
AT&T
the
Spectrum. Look,
all
AT&T Spectrum could easily get us, 2, 3, 400 megabits per second on LTE.
Mhm.
LTE, okay, which I have found a spot in Washington D.C. where I was getting over 500.
Oh,
Okay,
here in Houston, there's a guy. I think his name was Mount Houston.
uh huh.
He was getting 900 on LTE.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Verizon, these companies can do it, but they refuse to do it.
I mean, look at
Okay,
it like this: AT&T has a millimeter wave, and where they have millimeter wave, and it does not go over 1400, dude.
it
And I
doesn't.
think and it's trash. Uh,
Yeah,
PA Tech says I got my Pixel 7 Pro. I just ordered it. Oh, I just got a Pixel 7 Pro. I just ordered it. Yeah, and so
ah.
like they're not really using the millimeter wave to its full potential, nor is T-Mobile.
All right, so Dennis says we need to give the FCC some real teeth. This is not the first time private companies in telecom space dropped the ball. I agree. I agree with that due to the fact that it just seems they're lackadaisy to me personally. Me
Right.
personally, the lackadaisiness of these companies is what bothers me. Okay,
Hmm.
you know, regardless of how you might feel about T-Mobile, like I said, I get 450 megabits per second at the Capitol. I get 450 megabits per second in the neighborhood, and I still get 450 megabits per second in a valley. But AT&T and Verizon, like, I'm good. The people down there that want to walk their dogs in the creek, y'all don't need that stuff. You good. That right there bothers me more than anything.
Dennis also says I'm still pissed about Verizon here in Pennsylvania.
What is Verizon doing in Pennsylvania? Oh no, I already know, Dennis. I've heard your rants about Verizon, man. You won't give them no slack, none, no
Wait,
love.
changing this? Well, not really. I can't not believe Verizon is giving away free home internet to anybody that's on the ACP.
But that's a government thing. You have to go sign up through a government agency to be able to get it. They're not doing that off the out of the kindness of their heart. They're not advertising it either.
No, but like that is shocking to me because you would think T-Mobile would do it at $10, but Verizon is just like, here, take it away.
Because Verizon's bougie.
You're not
You
giving it
can't.
away
You
free though. They are charging money and the government is paying for them. Yeah. Well, I mean,
But that's what I'm
technically
saying.
taxpayers.
But that's what I'm saying. Won't do not do it until somebody else pay for it. Which
I'm
here's the
pretty
thing.
sure.
I'm not saying that a company should not make money. I wanna automatically say that first.
Obviously,
I'm
they're
not saying
they're,
a
they're
company should
making
not make
money.
money,
Hmm.
but there's nothing but upside. If anything, T-Mobile's expansion into rural America automatically tells me that there's an appetite for data, but AT&T and Verizon literally ignore them. They're like, we don't really need you. And if you decide to come and you give us your money, you'll be sufficed with 5 megabits per second. You know what I mean? You don't need much because you're in rural America. You know what I mean?
PA Texas Verizon is doing trash here. Sure, I get 150 megabits near the tower, but the tower is spacing is so bad that between towers, music and videos drop. Oh, Dennis, AT&T and T-Mobile don't have those issues. Hmm.
It, oh man, PA, you know what I would like to ask you, and next time I get on a chat with you, is what carrier band is Verizon anchoring on? Because I know that they have
It
band
probably is
five,
band
right?
13.
But here's the thing: is Verizon's grid way too far apart? Because even though band 13 is low band, if those anchors are way too far, then you'll start getting drops also.
Listen, home internet should be treated as a utility plain and simple. There should absolutely be a minimum level of service that is offered for a guaranteed low price.
Yeah.
If private companies want to offer faster to make more profit after that, then more power to them. But say 100 by 100 from Verizon Files should be offered for something like $20.
I would say
Uh,
yes and no, but not $20 though. Not 20. I wouldn't go for 20. It look, the average
I mean, if
household
you
really
really,
doesn't need
I
that
mean,
much.
Comcast is going to be doing that next year. Oh,
Oh yeah,
actually, I take that back. They're actually going to be giving it away for free.
yeah.
So, and I mean, right now they could technically get 100 by 10 for free right now to the ACP because normally, why Comcast offering 300 by 20 for $20?
Oh, that's because it's within their footprint. I mean, think of it like this, Dennis.
Promos.
If they already have the infrastructure in place, it really costs them nothing once you already have it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like free money at this point. The cable is already paid for itself 10 times over, 20
Mm-hmm.
times over, 100 times over. You don't rip out new cable so you can put new in. They're going to be making money off that for years to come. That's just from my point of view, anyway. That's how I see it. They could offer 300 by 10 for 20 because the cables are still in place.
Yeah,
But
let me get a link real quick.
all right, hold up. Let me see. Hold on. Hey, Brandon, do me a favor.
Uh-huh.
Do you have him on Google Meet?
I'll send him the link.
All right. Let me know when you do it. That way, I can watch the stream. So when it pops up.
All right.
But that's just been one of my bigger things for me is that. Hold on, there he is. Dennis, my boy.
Bienvenidos. Bienvenidos.
Normally it's more. It's faster than that.
Are you there?
Testing.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what Google Meets was doing, but all right. Two things real quick. One, that wasn't I was saying 300 by 100, just so we're clear, for $20. It's a promo, but still. But second,
I hate promos. I hate promos.
Listen, we can have a whole other discussion, but point being here is I'm saying is that Comcast offers that to anybody that wants to sign up for it. And that's the key word here. Anybody that wants to sign up for it can get that, right?
Yeah, even current customers.
Well, I don't know about all that, but like I'm saying, like you don't have to be low income or anything eligible. Like they're able to offer that price point. They're able to do it, right? And they still make plenty of money. $20 is plenty of profit for these ISPs. There's no reason why Verizon shouldn't be. In fact, they are actually forced to, I think, in New York, to offer a minimum speed tier at that price point, if I'm not mistaken. I think whoever the governor was over in New York, enforced like a thing for Spectrum and Verizon if they wanted to offer service there.
Oh, so it has to be under $15.
So there's a precedent for it.
But here's the thing: the problem you run into is expansion. That's what we're dealing with right now. Is okay. So as long as you're within the Comcast Spectrum Fios footprint, they can offer whatever they want to at a low price, right? But what about the people who don't have access? That's been one of my biggest caveats is people who don't have access and they got to wait for, Farmer John in North Carolina is offering ubiquity, wireless cable for, the surrounding area neighbors. But he has to do it by himself because the fiber wouldn't, AT&T wouldn't expand the fiber that far.
Yeah, but Keon, we got multiple problems in this country when it comes to the internet. Okay, we got the accessibility question, which is the one that you're always touching on, and a lot of people touch, and that's the one that gets all the attention, right?
Right.
But then there's the affordability aspect too, right? Like, i.e., Keon, let's just say you lived in in the middle of Missouri, right? No internet, right? And I come out and I'm like, Keon, I'm offering fiber to you. You can get my delicious fiber internet for just starting at prices as low as $150. You're still going to be without internet. I priced you out of the market.
Hey, and then that's the thing. They automatically price you out, but when somebody else comes along and pays for it, all of a sudden it's affordable.
Yeah, but no one else comes along. No one else comes along. That's the point, though, Keon. Like you're lucky if you're in rural, right? You're lucky if one person comes out. Having a second person come out is like asking for a miracle to occur. Like, it just doesn't happen, right? Like, and here's the thing too. That first person that came out, the only reason they probably came out anyway in the first place is because they probably got government money. They probably got a government contract to come out. Like, no one's just building out the rural just for the lulz. They're doing it because there's some form of either government funding occurring, which makes it so that project gives them on a return on investment within like a short period of time, or there is some ancillary additional reason for why they built out. Like, I'm trying to think of where Amazon was building a massive warehouse where like a bunch of fiber ended up getting ran. But like that would be an example. Like if an Amazon or an Azure or someone like that wanted to buy a bunch of land out in the middle of nowhere because it's cheap and get fiber ran. Well, now the fiber's already ran. If there's a couple housing passings along the way, maybe some other ISP ends up using that backbone fiber to run their lines out to those couple of houses, if it makes sense. Like, say there's 20 houses they pass along the way and they're within some close distance, right?
Right.
But what I'm getting at here is like the TLDR is like, if we're leaving it up to capitalism in the private market, no company is just going to build out to rural for no reason. Like, there has to be money being put down by the government essentially to encourage it. And I'm saying that if the government's going to pay for it anyway, right, instead of letting these ISPs double dip, get it paid for and then not have to worry about really doing anything outside like maintenance for the next decade or two, force them to offer a bare minimum tier that must be met when they do the build out at a bare minimum price point. So $20 is the price point that I feel like is incredibly fair, because it basically works out to being a little bit less than $1 per day.
Okay, but my biggest take is that's what they could do $20 within their city. So whatever city that Comcast or Spectrum or Fios runs in, even Cox, whatever city that they exist in, they can offer that to their existing base. And rightfully so. I mean, that cable's already in, is the fiber's already laid, period. The connection's already there. That wouldn't be hard for them to do. I mean, wire up a couple of different homes? They could write that off quick and easy, because it's raw profit. I mean, it's not like, they're paying for land where they're digging it. They get eminent domain no matter where they go at. They like,
no. They still have to pay. They pay franchising fees. So look, there's fees that they pay. But look, you're missing my point. I'm saying across the board. This applies for all internet, period, across the country, not just existing in cities. I'm talking across the board. There should be a minimum tier offer for like $20 for like whatever the definition of FCC broadband is, what did they bump it up to, Brandon? Was it 100 by 20?
No, I believe it's still 25 or 50 or whatever by 5.
Well, it was 25 by 3.
The old FCC standard.
But I heard that they're trying to raise it to 100 by 20.
Yeah, I heard it was like 100 by 25. And I'm saying that that's even too low. I'm saying it should be 100 by 100. Like somewhere around that ballpark. Like
I don't think it should be symmetrical, because in all honesty, it's all about connecting, but it's not giving full power.
Right. If somebody get 100 by 100, they're doing better than me, because I'm barely getting 25.
Yeah, I'm getting 40.
I'm really good. I'm on Comcast. Like, look, they'll be a better YouTuber than I am.
Listen, Keon. That's my point.
Oh.
You're restricted by your upload. You're restricted.
Yes, I'm restricted completely.
But
restricted.
Dennis, if you really think about it, those people that are on low income, they're probably buying Chromebooks or they're probably buying their shitty computer at Walmart.
Bro, I'm gonna say something a little spicy here on this stream, but like,
What's
just because you're low income doesn't mean you should be treated like anybody else, man. Like, they have the same ones that you and I do. We want fast, reliable internet, regardless of our income, man. No one's
look,
gonna.
I think the internet needs to be regulated the same exact way we do electric and power. Period.
Exactly.
Right.
It needs to be on that par due to the fact of how important the internet is, period, in the world today. The problem is that as long as companies, like, my take on it is more of a competition standpoint, is that they should automatically just open up the pipes for everybody, but put the Comcasts, the Spectrums, the Fioses, the Cox cables all in the same city and say, have at it, good luck, and just leave them, and then let them battle it out, and then work out from there.
That's not how that works, though, right? Like, we've talked on your spaces before, like when we were in spaces, right? Like, you, Keon, understand that by the very nature of wireline broadband is inherently structured in such a way where the end result is you end up with one, maybe two,
we only get one major one in your area. But it's the same thing about providing power to your home. You only have one that's providing power. Imagine what would happen if you had 3 or 4 trying to do.
Right, but the reason why power
all over the place.
The reason why power got regulated like that, right, is that, and we gave them regulated monopolies, is because it really is just one, and all those other options that you hear about are just using that one line. Like, they're just reselling. They're basically just rebilling the same. Like, I have West Penn Power, right? There's different electrical companies that come up to my doors talking about but I like to sign up for green energy this or blah 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 that. But at the end of the day, if you actually look at things, right, look at the bill, I'm paying West Penn Power. I'm just paying through someone else, and oftentimes it ends up being more expensive anyway in the long run to go with those other options. It's West Penn Power or West Penn Power, and that's fine. Like, I don't need to overcomplicate. It's electricity, right? The same thing could be said about internet, right? Internet, like, it's a set speed, it's a set bandwidth, and it's a set latency, and there's set things that I care about in the standard, and that's it. All the other extra fluff about that companies try to do with streaming perks and stuff like that, I don't need any of that junk for my internet. Okay, I just need good, reliable internet. Let me worry about buying the streaming services later. I don't need anything fancy,
bro. Don't be talking shit about Brian Roberts' Peacock, bro.
I mean, I wasn't just targeting Peacock, bro. This could apply for Fios when they were doing the Disney Plus on gig. This could apply to AT&T at the HBO. This could apply to whoever.
I know.
But the thing is the cable companies, the major broadband companies. I'm not gonna say cable. The major broadband companies are acting like monopolies in their areas, yet they don't expand like they need to unless somebody provides resources to them. So you might as well just go ahead and label them a tier 1 and force them to do it as mandating it or through legislation.
Right, but I'm saying, look, you're missing what I'm getting thrown down here. These telecom companies, right? They are private companies at the moment, right? We should absolutely force them to expand into covering the entirety of a zip code. But I'm saying you can't just tell them to all go to, say, Chicago and have 20 different it doesn't logically make sense. It literally doesn't make sense to have 20 different privately owned pieces of infrastructure connected to a house, right? What would make more sense would be if the federal government essentially ran fiber across all the utility poles, so superseded local regulators, right? And just said, hey, we're running fiber across all these utility poles, and we're mandating also that the last mile, which is the biggest challenge here when it comes to expanding, we're mandating that every home has to be connected with fiber, just like every home needs to be like connected with like electric, basically, right? And that fiber, for anyone that wants to connect, they have to use that strand of fiber. No more like this is a Comcast line, this is a Fios line. No, it's just one fiber to the house or one fiber to the MDU, and this is the line that ends up attaching out to the backbone. That way, it still gives people an option to go with a private company like Comcast if they're offering a better product, and they just unplug it and plug it back into their system. Or you have the publicly available system, which sets like the gold standard benchmark. And with that public system, the government could, to give people more choices, they could do something similar to electric, where you could have basically, or wireless, you could have basically like MVNOs that buy access, right? You could have Dennis's internet, whose main selling point is offering great customer service, but at the end of the day, it's still the same infrastructure already being in place. And that gives consumers both the competition that you're talking about, it solves the accessibility issue, and it helps knock
them down to like an MVNO status, and everybody just works to make the network better from there. You still preserve capitalism, at the same time you can guarantee service to more people.
You guarantee service to everyone.
Well, that's what it needs to be. I mean, look, we got water to people, we get power to people, but
the thing is that it still costs a lot of money to throw it out to people.
Bro, we spent the amount of money needed to actually give fiber to everyone in this country like 10x over by trying to award the private companies. It was really inefficient. Like legitimately, I believe in the US, and don't quote me on the exact number, but like if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the country of the US has spent over something like around the ballpark of like $350 billion in its endeavor to expand connectivity, and look at where we've gotten.
Oh, nowhere.
And by the way, that $350 billion doesn't even include the actual value of the spectrum licenses that we've sold and given to private companies for their own commercial use, nor does that include any ancillary military spending that went into connectivity, because that's something that goes on its own discretionary budget. That's just money awarded to private companies for projects, and look at where we're at.
Well, hey, the current system is always full of promises and under delivers. That's just what it is. I mean, companies in general are going to only do what's best and fiduciary best for their bottom line. That's why I said, like, that's the reason why how I look at AT&T. They have billions of dollars of contracts, right? Billions. Their name, like literally, they can walk into the DoD, they can walk in the Pentagon and basically say, "You need what? You know, we've been around since early days." They're gonna automatically get the nod because of how old of a company they are, but they do lackadaisy work. That's what I get angry at. The reason they get away with
it is because the federal government has no teeth. Specifically, the FCC has no teeth. Also, just to be clear here, Keon, notice my wording here. It's all of telecom. It's not just AT&T, man. T-Mobile, your precious T-Mobile, just as guilty.
Well, hey, I don't have blinders on when it comes to it. Don't get me wrong, but understand, they're not in the same ballpark yet. Would you say that?
Bull.
Really? You would put them in the same ballpark?
Oh, absolutely. All day, every day.
Me personally, I see a company that's finally being able to try to spread its wings.
Bro, I could name you 10 instances where T-Mobile has failed to meet their commitments as part of the merger. Look at all of California as an example. They said in California, and I quote, that they'd be able to offer 300 megabits per second to everyone in California. Where is that going? That sure ain't happening right now. That sure ain't happening.
No. You're absolutely right about that one. You're absolutely right.
And that's not the only state, man. That's not the only state where they made promises as part of the merger agreement, where they promised to offer fixed wireless home internet with set minimum speeds, and that ain't happening.
Hey, look, I would like to push back now. If when
wait. What was the minimum for them to provide home internet?
Home internet or just internet coverage? Period.
Like the speeds.
Depends on the specific state and local county, because different requirements were met as part of the approval for the merger. California, since we mentioned that one most recently, was 300 megabit per second.
Yeah, it was 300. Yeah, that was the one that everybody looked at and was like, that's kind of crazy. T-Mobile in California, that just doesn't mix. But no, I'm just saying in general, I think that what we're seeing from a company that made all those concessions, I feel like nobody's putting asterisks beside it due to the fact that the way the economy was like really upended also.
Bro, if we're gonna talk about the economy being upended, then we gotta. No, I'm sorry. No.
Really, you would not give it to them if everything was going hunky dory. There was no pandemic. The nation didn't get shut down.
No, because when you make those concessions, right?
Okay.
You account for the when you bid on a project, right? Like let's just talk broader scope here. When you bid on a project, right? You account for risk. You account for risk, and also when going out to actually execute on the project, you put mitigations in place to make sure that if the risks that you've identified do come to fruition, it ideally doesn't collapse your project from succeeding, right? And one of the first things that comes up with a large scale project like that for any government related project is issues that have to that revolve around either funding or the economy. And when I say funding, it can be broad. Like legitimately, you could look at major train projects where a change in administration from blue to red or red to blue affected funding, and you account for that as a private company when you bid for these contracts.
But those type of drastic changes don't move that far in one direction or the other.
Oh no. Look at the high-speed rail train that California has been trying to do for a very hot minute, where that project has been getting delayed and going over budget exorbitantly due to changes in the federal administration when it came to money that was awarded to California for said project drying up. It dried up under Trump, stalled the project. Biden came back, funding came back. Now they're back on the project. It happens like a snap.
I know where you're coming from, because there was a proposed road line in Maryland that took 30 years for it to finally get put in.
Look at New York.
I totally get that, but the thing is those projects don't make major commitments after the dotted lines get signed. I mean, when the dotted lines get signed, the funding is almost damn near guaranteed at that point.
Oh, but they do. And just like I said, changes in government administrations can make those damn near guaranteed funding go bye-bye real quick. I'm saying that's an example of not even the economy. That's just a risk that you take on when you're working with the U.S. or any federal or any government for that matter. So the changes in economic cycle is not an excuse. Listen, I know the pandemic was insane, okay? Like, I get it. It was hard, and the shortages that we saw and all that fun stuff, like, it was rough. Like, it was rough.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if T-Mobile failed to account for types of risks like that, and that's on T-Mobile for not taking part in good project management. That's a lack of skill and experience, and we can make up excuses for how they were the underdog all this time and they didn't win all these contracts. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if AT&T,
that's something you can't foresee either. No company foresaw a complete closure of economics in the nation.
But you're missing my point, Keon. If AT&T pulled a stunt like that, they'd be getting the same shitstorm from me about that too. That's the point I'm trying to get to you, Keon, is that that's on T-Mobile. Like, T-Mobile should have never made a concession that 300 megabits was the minimum guarantee or the timelines that they set out for themselves, because they were very aggressive. I mean, when that happened, even back then, I had questions if it would even be possible.
Dennis, what about AT&T when they were supposed to build out internet out in Mississippi or whatever, and they just ran away.
They ran away from that one.
Mississippi wasn't the only state, and AT&T also got my shit for it. If you remember when I had the discussion about Verizon screwing over 23 states, I just said I've been preaching all of telecom. I've been very consistent.
And understand. I understand where you're coming from. My only take on it is with a company that wasn't even allowed to even like be able to form their company. They formed their company literally in the middle, like the beginning part of the pandemic. So they actually jumped the gun on April 1st because the California Regulatory Commission didn't even want them to do it yet. They want them to wait. So they were already in the middle of an economic downturn when they finally closed on the deal. So only thing I'm saying is when you were doing all these negotiations, yeah, I can understand that you have to minimize risk. You got to be able to say what you can do. If you look at your sheets and say, hey, I'm able to provide 300 megabits per second in California, if everything stays the same for the next 5 years, then yeah, that company projects themselves to be able to do everything that they can do for the next 5 years, as long as an asteroid doesn't fall from heaven and destroys everything. That's just from my look, and I would give the same pass to a Verizon or AT&T, not just for T-Mobile, but I would give those companies a pass if you made a promise. Hey, we're not going to lay people off, but then all of a sudden, every company's laying everybody off.
My point is, it's not that I don't acknowledge that the economic downturn was a detriment to all telecom or all companies in general. It had impacts on business operations. I agree with you on that, Keon. But my main thing that you're not seeing here is the most important and most crucial part. It's the part where T-Mobile promised 300 megabits per second. That was stupid, because I don't think, and I've said this before on other streams, no wireless company can promise those levels of speeds. Not Verizon, not AT&T, not Dish, none of them. Not even on millimeter wave can you guarantee those types of speeds consistently on fixed wireless, because there's too many variables and the technology just is not there yet. So it is T-Mobile's folly and ignorance
but honestly,
making a promise like that.
But honestly, Dennis, it was just one of those things that we all knew. It was just one of those things where it said, yeah, we'll whatever. We're going to promise 300 megabits, but in all honesty, we'd rather just pay the fines.
Right, and my point being here, man, is that
just go ahead, write the check. Hey,
going back to the genesis of this was Keon said T-Mobile's not in the same ballpark. And I think we've reached the consensus that they are in the same ballpark, because that type of mentality of, oh, we'll just pay the fines is the exact same kind of mentality that Verizon and AT&T and every other insert telecom company that you want to name falls into.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I agree with you. Hey, look, normally companies just pay the fine and call it a day. They be like, yeah, you want me to do what? Nah, just pay them. Let's just pay them.
It's literally like the kid going to somebody's house and throwing the ball on the TV or a glass.
So Keon, before I get, I'm gonna call it, for me personally, I'm gonna bounce at 12. But before I do, I just want to throw up a curveball at you. Have you been on r/T-Mobile ISP?
The T-Mobile Reddit ISP side?
Yeah.
No, I haven't been on that one.
Okay, I recommend you check it out, because there's something hilarious that you should look at that's become a common trend that people have been doing to improve their fixed wireless experience with T-Mobile. And that thing that they've been doing is they've been putting tinfoil around the back of the Arcadian gateway to improve RSRP values and signal and improve service.
Oh my god!
No! That's not crazy though.
It's not crazy. It's not. Hold up. It's not crazy that it works. It's crazy to me though that even has to be done in the first place, and that T-Mobile won't just provide a gateway that has the external antenna ports available on the outside of the device's enclosure. And
you're
honestly,
right.
And honestly, why they don't just freaking sell first party external antennae. The fact that consumers have to come up with the most, I don't know, MacGyver style solution to get working internet is ridiculous.
No. I agree with you on that one. Look. The Nader Tater channel has taught me anything. Is why is there no external ports for external antennas on these gateways? Because the gateways themselves will be fine if they're in like a inner city or something. You don't really need to. All you got to do is put it next to a window. But when you're out in the country and your antenna is 2.5 miles away, like your best bet is to put an antenna on it. And for them to figure out that aluminum foil gives you better reception, I find that funnier than anything.
I also sent the link in the chat for y'all for an example.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look at it. Oh man, I now I gotta go over there and find out what's really good.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people do in rural America, to be honest with you. They have the gateway.
They have the gateway. Look, my father has it, but he got it next to a window. And the antenna that he's trying to communicate with is, I'd say 1.5 miles, but it's only band 2 and 12. It's band 2 and 12. So that's the biggest thing for me is what would happen if he had an external antenna that actually was a good external antenna. Hey, he could easily pick up whatever he needs to pick up, no problem.
Right.
But hey, Dennis, thank you for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. Is he still there?
Yeah, I think he's muted though.
Oh, okay. All right. So now, Brandon, with our earlier talk about the fold, like the folding iPhone, did you get a chance to see the Google event?
Not really, but I kind of peeked at the Pixel 7 Pro.
So here you go. So everything that they announced at the Google announcement for the Pixel 7 event. So pretty much everything we already knew that was going to come out roughly during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Pixel Buds, a watch, the Pixel 7, and then the 7 Pro. You know, Google is trying to make their phones into DSLRs, sir. They're trying to.
I think every flagship phone is trying to become the next DSLR camera, but I feel like
Brandon, you made a mistake. You called the Pixel a flagship, which it's not.
It's not a flagship, but I'm saying like Apple and Samsung and whomever else tries to make flagship phones, they're trying to make their phones into DSLR cameras, but I feel like they're still far behind. I mean, they're not there, but they're slowly getting there.
Well, if you ever get a chance to go back and look at the event, right? So they broke down what the cameras are doing. So Google put basically a mirror style setup inside of the phone, which is why the back part protrudes from the back of the phone so far. Is not because you don't want it to rock or anything. Inside there's a little box inside of one of the cameras which bounces the image off a mirror into another box to give you the image, but it's supposed to be able to give you multiple optical layers for imaging, right? Which DSLRs do that with and without mirrors. So they can do it with mirrors at a higher pixel count. They can do it without mirrors with bigger sensors. So smaller the sensor, more mirrors. Bigger the sensor, less mirrors. That's kind of like this the trade-off you end up having to deal with. But that's what Google's trying to do, is trying to get into DSLR territory with their cameras. They showed one where, like, I guess they were let's say they were in some stands, right? And they were looking down at these two people on a tennis court, and then they kept zooming in. They were showing like, hey, our technology can zoom all the way in to like 10 times, and you can still see details. Where Apple, 3 times zoom is no good.
Tech says a Pixel is a high-end mid-ranger with a flagship camera.
That's true. That
Yeah,
I
I
agree with that one.
agree.
I agree with that. But that's pretty much what the Pixel lineup is just basically letting them improve more and more and more on the camera technology without like the camera technologies. I think we've hit peak camera on a phone. It's all the trickery in the background that we got to start doing now.
Right.
That's how I look at it. It's all the little, okay, how many mirrors can you put into this little area to get you a better shot? How many pixels can you put on? I think this generation, we just now saw a bigger bump in cameras than we have over the last couple years. Everything was around about 12 megapixels, 15 megapixels, whatever. And now we jumped up to 48 on my Fold. It was 12 last year. Now it's 48 this year. I think the same thing happened with the iPhone. iPhones had 12 megapixel camera sensors for a long time.
Dennis, what's your spicy take on the Pixel, bro?
Garbage.
Damn. Damn.
Not even the camera?
I mean, look, Pixel's camera, it's solid. It's solid. I can't take that away from it. Sure. Takes incredible still shots. Sure. Video on Pixel, though, garbage.
But this year's model supposed to be trying to improve on that.
So if I polish a turd, does that make it worth something?
Depends on how much paint you put on it. Hey, I'm just saying, man. Hey, certain turds go for millions of dollars if the right backer has it.
Keon, if I put lipstick on a pig and a little red dress, does that make that pig a beauty pageant queen?
No, unless it's a beauty pageant for pigs. Then it just depends on what area that you're in. I'm just saying that the Pixels have very good steel camera technology, but they never translated over to video until maybe now. And I'm not part of the Pixel program to be able to test this out. I wish I was, because then I would try it out. I'll strap it to my dash and drive down the road with it and see what happens.
All right, so real quick before I bounce, let me be serious for a second, because I was being a little bit joking and fictitious. Look, Pixel phones, they're okay phones, and that's what they're okay. In a Void, even, you could say they're pretty awesome if they were in a Void. However, the problem arises is that they're on a Void. Android is super competitive on like the iOS ecosystem, right? Lots of competition in the Android space. Why would I buy a Pixel 7? Or more specifically, let's go with their quote unquote flagship phone, a Pixel 7 Pro, when I can literally get a Galaxy S22 for cheaper, and it's not going to have any of the compromises. Pixels have notoriously poor battery life compared to Samsung phones. They have notoriously worse screens. They're always a generation or two behind in terms of peak brightness, the refresh rate, etc., etc. The processing power definitely does not compare to anything on the Snapdragon side of things until we start getting down into like the mid-range 700 series, and even then Snapdragon is still winning on GPU performance 9 times out of 10. And wireless performance, which is what we in our community care about, is also inferior. And even when it comes to software updates, Google has been behind Samsung and other OEMs. So the only thing the Pixel has going for it is the camera with still shots specifically. And it's not like Pixel still shots are leaps and bounds better than what Samsung or Apple is offering. Like, honestly, still shots is something I feel like almost all smartphone cameras have gotten down to this point to to where it's no longer about the actual quality of the still shot photo taken, but more about the actual post process and like what your opinion is on like, do you want super saturated images like Samsung tends to produce? Do you want more like, we'll call it neutral-ish, like Apple tends to produce, or do you want what like Google does, where they kind of like touch up your face and beautify it, almost like how like Huawei used to like remove like the pimples and stuff with the selfie shots, but like to a less aggressive degree, you know? Like,
well, let me ask you this question. At the end of the day, does it really matter if you have all the bells and whistles, the latest and greatest underneath the hood, if your phone just works?
but that's the thing. The Pixel doesn't just work. It has
Okay.
bugs.
The first look, I always tell people this. I'm an early adopter of certain things, and one of the things I've always understood about Google is whenever you become an early adopter, you are willing to deal with a lot of issues. And that the first gen Pixel, the OG Pixel, had a boatload of problems. Boatload, okay. And as a person who had the Pixel 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 XLs, the 4 XL was the best one, the best. But it took 4 generations to finally get to that point where it was perfect, right? Then after about the 5A or whatever, when they were starting to play around, dropping down to a lesser chip, then they went and started doing their own chip series. The first gen was the worst. Now we're on G2, right? We're on the generation 2 of their whatever processor that they deem to do, whatever computer analyzing work on the phone and TensorFlow and all this other stuff. It's Gen 2, right?
It's
My
Gen
thing
2
is,
on paper, but if you actually look at the specs, right, it's still using
the
the
spec
same.
sucks.
Well, no, if you actually look at the actual core architecture, it's the same exact core architecture as Tensor 1. They didn't
Yes.
change the efficiency Cortex cores. They didn't change the performance cores. They're still 2 generations behind as far as ARM goes, which is what all mobile SoCs use, is the ARM architecture. So nothing has changed as far as performance goes between the processors to this, from Pixel 6 to Pixel 7. So we already know that any performance gains that we may see are simply from software optimization, not a hardware optimization, like not a hardware improvement. And everything I was touching on, by the way, isn't about bells and whistles. Battery life and battery efficiency is one of the most fundamental foundations to mobile computing in general. And that
and so that's something I totally agree with you on. But by the time I got to the Pixel 4 XL, my battery life was awesome. Look, I had no problems with my battery life when I got to now the OG Pixel, questionable. The Pixel 2 has screen burning issues. Some screens were built by LG, and the other ones were built by Samsung, and there was some issues with Bluetooth from time to time. But those were the growing pains of just dealing with being on a Pixel, right? Being on a Google platform. But like right now, I consider, instead of they just didn't go and said, "Oh, this is just a new Pixel." They went with the 6, right? They went with the 6. Now we're on the 7. They didn't do any performance gains beefing up, but what you're getting right now is literally basically last year's phone with new year processor. I mean, new year software. Do you not agree with that?
Yes, and since last year's phone was garbage, this is another providing of garbage.
True, but look, they're not trying to charge $1,000 for this phone either.
Right, because they couldn't. Dude, listen. Google can't even get past 1% market share in the US, and that's when they were selling a phone at 300. Okay. They still don't even have a percentage point of market share in the US. Let that sink in.
No, I know.
Legitimately, before Huawei got banned in the US, Huawei, okay, a Chinese phone that lacks all carrier support, had almost more market share in the US than Google Pixel.
No, they did.
Okay, you just made my point even more worse.
They did.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Google doesn't really push their stuff either. So It's like
They
like
do
the
push their
most.
stuff. They do. Have you not seen the freaking billboards all over your city in DC, dude? They're all over the place, man. I remember seeing a Pixel ad maybe not even a week ago during like a Steelers game on
Yeah,
YouTube TV.
but let me ask you a question. How many times have you gone into like a Verizon store or AT&T or even a T-Mobile store? You see the pixels there, but the representatives do not push you towards it.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like that's what I mean by pushing. Like
yeah, but
they
you're talking about carrier. You're talking about carriers, not just broad
and a lot of
advertising.
people buy their phones through the carrier.
Sure, but I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that when someone goes to the carrier store to do a promo, right? The reason why the sales rep at the carrier store isn't pushing the Pixel is because no one wants the Pixel. Like if you're iPhone, you're upgrading to iPhone. You're not leaving iOS. Like you're in that walled garden. And if we're talking about Android here, if you're Samsung, you're probably not leaving Samsung. You're upgrading to Samsung. And for the people that would be willing to be looking to say switch from a specific phone, those would be people like LG that are upgrading. Those would be people that have like older phones, maybe something like an S8, S9 might think about it, right? Maybe.
Hold on 1 second. I see what you're saying, PA. The Exynos 5300 series for the Pixel 7, but the Pixel 6 had the 5123. Was that 5123B? Dang.
Dennis, I have to disagree with you a little bit. Some people do hop around from one operating system to the other, but it's not by much.
But hey, look, don't get me wrong. Like, hey, look, the only reason why I'm back on Team Samsung is because of the fold. If Google really actually made a folding phone, I would leave Samsung. I'd be like, and I'm out. But that because I need a bigger screen, I need a bigger screen phone.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
I would go back to Team Pixel in a heartbeat.
Listen, when it comes to my primary daily driver, you'll never see me messing around with a Fold as my daily driver phone. Like, not until
even if Apple were to make one.
Correct. Not until listen, when Apple first came out with the iPhone X, right? That generation, I bought an 8 Plus because I didn't like the X. I didn't like Face ID. I like Touch ID. Okay, and it took me until the iPhone 11 to actually adopt Face ID. And the only reason I got the iPhone 11 is because I had won it from a sales incentive back when I worked in sales for a company. It was part of an incentive. That's the only reason why iPhone 11 became the iPhone that replaced the 8 Plus for me. And once I had it, I ended up getting a 12 Pro Max. And even then, iPhone wasn't my primary. My Galaxy S20 Plus was my primary phone, right? Because it had a fingerprint reader, it had a lot of things. I was big in the Android ecosystem. The only reason I became an iPhone primary kind of guy in recent history was due to the fact that I had so many phone numbers and I wanted just one phone to carry around. That's the only reason. eSIM support and dual SIM. That's it. That's the only reason why iPhone became my daily. I'm not going to go to something like a Fold though. Fold phones suck for app support right now, man. They're not mainstream at all. They would suffer all the problems that eSIM support suffers on the whole Android sphere at the moment. And hopefully that gets better. And hopefully that gets better now that Apple came out with the 14 Pro Max, but we'll have to see.
Oh, you talking about like because Apple brute force and made it, and it's going to make everybody go eSIM? Because if you want to support the iPhone, you're going to have to support eSIM.
Basically.
I mean, that's pretty much like what we call boss level move. I know that I walk around with the bigger balls, and then y'all gonna have to carry them. Thank you.
But foldable phones, man, they just aren't, dude. I don't even think. Listen, to me, foldable phones were just a little tech demo to show off. Hey, this is what we can do at the moment. I don't even think that's the end game. Like, dude, end game for phone design, right? If we're talking about things, isn't folds. It's that slidey tech, that sliding glass screen that Samsung showed off, man. That's the future, man. Like that right there is like the end game. Being able to like slide out your phone into like a freaking like 11-inch tablet, something like that.
Oh, I mean that would be awesome. But I mean, hey, look, always small baby steps get you to those bigger ones later on. My only take was like I didn't buy the first generation Fold because it did not look like it was gonna be as sturdy from what I could tell. And then when I went to the Fold 2, I still have my Fold 2 today. I actually use it to shoot a lot of my videos, and it's still holding up perfectly fine.
Hey, for now, man, give me my freaking boring brick. All right, that looks like everybody else's boring brick, and I'll be happy with just that. I don't for my listen. If we're talking about my secondary phone or my third phone, we can be a little bit more playful, right?
Right.
But for a primary phone, I can't afford to have problems on the primary. I don't want to have notification problems. I don't want to have an app that's broken where I can't use a feature like how Linus Tech Tips was having issues doing YouTube Shorts on the YouTube app because it didn't support foldable screens proper, or Instagram looked all messed up.
Yeah, that was out. Now, for the YouTube Shorts one, that was a problem. Now, I'm not a big Instagram person, but I felt that same pain. Felt that same pain. Now,
But
let me
I
ask you
mean,
a question. Are you a watch person?
I don't. I mean, I have a Samsung Active 2, I think, but I don't wear it.
Oh man, I had my Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, and then like Google's coming out with their Pixel Watch. So their mechanism is a rotating. The whole face rotates and locks into place. So it's a different look and feel on how to get the band to lock into the chassis of the phone. I mean, the chassis of the watch.
So
But
listen, when it comes, oh sorry.
But my thing is what about Fitbit? I mean, this is Google coming out with a Pixel Watch, but what about Fitbit?
So listen, when it comes to smartwatches, man, I have similar issues with it in that smartwatches are essentially useless without their phone. Right? Phone dies,
Yeah.
smartwatch loses most of its functionality. That being said, there is merit to the smartwatch. It specifically if you're health conscientious, right? Like I won't get into my personal health issues on a publicly recorded YouTube podcast, but having the ability to have track of like my heart, like my blood pressure, and if they ever figure out a way to like monitor blood sugar, for example, in a non-painless, intrusive way for someone like my dad or something like that, like that would be sick. That would be sick, and that would justify a smartwatch. But it's no longer really a smartwatch; it's more of like a medical tool at that point, right? Like,
right.
Smartwatches as they exist today, to me, don't provide any value because okay, I can check my time on this smartwatch, or I can just pull my phone out of my pocket. I can see a notification on the tiny screen, or I can just pull my phone out of my pocket. I can get a vibration on an Apple Watch whenever it's time to make a turn, or I could just have Google Maps in my little phone holder on my vent in my car. I just don't see the value of having this smartwatch outside of the.
But it is geared more towards fitness because that's the only reason why I have it is for like okay, so like for me, I drive Uber and I need to be able to stand up more often. So it encouraged me to get my steps in. So I have to stop driving. You know, I do my little shimmy dance outside my car to get my steps in. That way I know that I'm staying as active as I possibly can and I'm
But
trying
your
to
phone,
always improve. But
but
my
your
phone is not doing it. My watch is.
but your phone can do it is the point. Like if you go into Samsung's S Health tool, which by the way, I miss that so much. S Health was god tier, best fitness app in my opinion. But anyway, oh no, I really loved it, man. For tracking my calories and stuff, it was fantastic. But listen, your phone can do that though. Like legit, if I want to go into Apple's health app right now and set up a thing that tells me, set a walking goal based off my weight and my stats and stuff like that, and having it notify me or whatever, I can do that. And there's a million other apps that can do that too. Like when I worked for like I said, when I worked for some, because I worked for a few different places, one of the health insurance things was like we got access to like Calm. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically like this like meditation service, right? So you would just sit back and relax and remind you to do your little 10 minutes of meditation. Cool. Yeah, the watch can do that too, probably, but like the phone does. Like my point is that everything the watch can do, it does worse than the phone, with the exception of the medical purpose stuff. Like, i.e., like an SA and S9 Plus had a heart rate monitor, right? But the watch is more effective because it's always on you versus the phone. Like it's only those select niche instances where the watch makes some sense. But even then, if you're not someone that's having like any kind of like medical issues or anything like that, then it's not even like a worthwhile investment. And then also there's also this whole conversation about how that having that medical data in a private company's hands is kind of concerning. But regardless,
I know that security. That's the stuff. You get down to security at that point. I understand where you're going.
But like, regardless, I'm just saying, like, right now, smartwatches are a situation of wow, this is really cool because this was like sci-fi, like James Bond and Star Trek kind of tech, right? And now it's real, but it's also not really found its real use case. And I think the use case is going to be primarily on the medical aspect. But again, that's a small sub niche of people, right? Like it's not like these smartwatches are like traditional watches that actually maintain your value, right? A Rolex will always be a Rolex. It'll hold some of its value. A smartwatch, on the other hand, definitely does. Just look what happened with the OG Apple Watch with the gold.
Oh God, nobody even talks about that thing no more.
Yep.
Nobody talks about that thing. But no, but I'm just saying in general, like being able to marry multiple technologies together. Like I've never really been a watch wearer until now, but then it was because I wanted to monitor my health. I mean, I had a health scare, a couple years ago, and because I didn't understand what was going on, if I had something like this where I could measure my blood oxygen level, or I could see what my heart rate is daily. I can go back and look at the data and see, okay, so what was I doing on Tuesday last week? Oh, you know what? I was helping somebody move. Okay, my heartbeat was up and down. That's normal. But if you sitting still and all of a sudden you getting irregular heartbeats going on, and the only thing you're doing is sitting around with your feet up, that shows signs of something serious, even though it might not say it's something serious right away. That's what I'm saying is it sometimes existing inside of a niche, you got to start from somewhere and then you can branch out. You know what I mean?
Well, side note, if we're talking about the medical aspect, do you want to know what would be more useful for me than a smartwatch?
What would that be?
Insert smart necklace that is specific for collecting that medical data, because a watch is something I won't wear. A necklace that goes around my neck and sits on my chest, more convenient.
Yeah, I agree. I think what is it? Those chest bands that actually measure your heart rate a whole lot better because it's closer towards, aka your heart, is a whole lot better too.
Yep. So instead of making this weird, well-rounded device that does a whole bunch of stuff and has arguably poor battery life compared to the dedicated device that does the intended function, I'd rather just have the dedicated device that does the intended function.
True.
I agree.
I understand where you're coming from.
Like I get where you mean, and honestly, like I hate wearing jewelry.
It's been a time
I'll just
for
say,
me to wear a watch. So
I'll just say real quick too, one last thing I want to touch on. When it comes to smartwatches, the only one that comes even close to getting me interested in buying a smartwatch, like a proper one and wearing it, is Apple.
But see, you need more competition, man.
Wait, what do you think of the Apple Watch Ultra?
Oh, not worth it. That's not the one I was talking about. I was talking about like the regular series.
The bigger what is it? Is it titanium casing? And it has like multiple GPSs underneath the screen. You're not interested in that one?
No.
The average consumer does not care. Like
I'm not even the average consumer, Brandon. I don't want it.
No, I know. I don't like the watch either. I feel it's just my big fingers, and I don't like that.
Nah, but listen, the only reason why the Apple Watch is interesting to me is because if I freaking trip and fall down the stairs and my heart stops beating or something, it calls 911.
Yo, you want to hear something funny? I just saw while I was doing research on some articles to talk about today. Yo, people phones were calling 911 because they were on a roller coaster.
Oh my god!
Their phones were automatically calling 911 because they were on a roller coaster. They were like, yo, we've censored you upside down. We gotta call the police. So hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Oh gosh.
That's funny. I wonder if it was. You know what? I also wonder, real quick, since we're talking about roller coasters, I wonder if that would trip off the car crash detection. Since when you're doing a roller coaster, you kind of have that abrupt stop towards the end.
It probably either that or it's just like that those hard jerks. So like a roller coaster is not a smooth experience. I mean,
Right.
I'm not a big roller coaster fan. And you're talking about like you're going. Let's say when you're going up and it's one of those free fall ones, it's you're click 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 click, and you're bobbing back and forth. Your phone is probably in your back pocket, and it's like feeling all those bumps and jerks.
Listen, when I was younger, Keon, I used to be a roller coaster aficionado, but as I've gotten older, man, I don't know what happened, but my stomach got weak. I cannot handle the roller coasters like I used to, man.
Oh no, me either. I've never been a roller coaster person. I just find it kind of funny that this modern marvel of technology can get triggered by a roller coaster.
That is hilarious.
You would think that somebody would have tested this feature. It was like, what can simulate a car crash? You know what I mean? What's out there that can simulate a car crash? And let's see, can we not have this go off?
I mean, to be honest, that wasn't like my first thought at all. So I don't actually blame them for not thinking about it, to be honest.
But come on.
Hey, Keon, let me ask you a very off-topic question real fast.
What's up?
Spicy.
I don't know, but I don't remember, but like, what are you streaming this off of right now? Like, what are you using currently?
I am using StreamYard, but I'm casting the screen.
No. I mean, like what kind? Is it like a desktop computer, a laptop, a mobile phone?
Laptop.
Is it a Windows laptop?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not doing a Chromebook. Yes, Brandon. Shut up. I know Brandon's getting ready to say something. Shut up.
You're probably in Chrome browser.
I just wanted to ask you, my friend. Have you been paying attention to the PC space recently?
A little bit. I know that Nvidia's dropping their new 4000 series cards, and that's about it that I've come across, except for AMD releasing some monster SoCs.
CPUs.
Sorry.
Yeah. AMD released CPUs. Intel showed up their announcements. Those are coming out here probably in 2 weeks here. And Nvidia dropped their new GPUs. I was just going to ask you, have you thought about building a desktop, Keon?
I really, 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 really want to. But until my YouTube starts popping more, I can't justify the cost yet. Believe me, I used to build computers, but right now, the graphic cards was still before the downturn of crypto, graphics cards was half the price, if not more, of what a PC costs.
Well, listen, Keon, I just want to tell you real quick, man, because you'll appreciate this, I think.
What's up?
I'm doing a new build finally. I got all the parts in the other room across from me. 7950X. That's 16 cores, 32 threads. 64 gigs of DDR5 memory, 6,000 megahertz, CL30 for timing, 30 terabytes of solid state storage.
Bro, whose dead body pictures do you have on there, bro?
All solid state.
Actually, that is kind of small in comparison. Wait. Are you gonna do a double hard drive setup? Like one is gonna be for your OS, and the other one's gonna be your storage?
I'm sorry, I don't understand that question, Keon.
Okay, so basically, you just put the OS and maybe some of your program files on your what they call your boot drive, which would still be a solid state drive, but you wouldn't get all those reads and writes on that drive versus that 30 terabyte one.
No, there is multiple drives here, Keon. So there is my boot drive, which is a 980 Samsung 980 Pro, 2 terabyte. That's going to be the boot drive, and that's an NVMe drive. That's Gen 4, 7,700 megabytes per second read speeds. I believe 6,800 write. Then there's a 4 terabyte Western Digital Black PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 drive, which is going to be my fast storage. And then there is 2 Samsung 870 QVO 8 terabyte drives. So that's 16 terabytes there. Which those are connected over SATA, and are going to be put into a RAID 0, which is Stripe, which means that it'll improve the read and write performance because you're splitting how the files read and written from across both drives. You're basically combining the storage inside Windows. So like that's the setup. So like your boot drive, you only have one boot drive ever, and then everything else is storage drives. So those are your different volumes and stuff. But like, but it's going to be 30 terabytes total storage. It's going to be all solid state. There's not going to be any hard disk drives. There's spinning platters. It's a whole solid state build. And then I'm going to transplant my 3080 Ti from my current machine into the new one, at least until I can get my hands on an RTX 4090. And that will be the GPU.
Did you ever do you subscribe to Jay's 2 Cents?
Yep.
Have you seen what the new shrouds for the video cards look like? They're literally 3-bay. They're 3-bay video cards now.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I got a full tower case. I got a full tower case with plenty of space because my 3080 Ti was a bitch and a half to fit inside my mid tower case. So I got a nice, big old spacious 25 kilogram case to fit everything in.
Man.
Yeah, it's the Corsair 7000 Airflow D or whatever, or 7000D. It's a full tower.
If I decide to do this, I really want to go water cooled.
Like an AIO?
No, full like custom block, custom water cool and scenario. It's something I always wanted to do. And when I came across Jay 2 Cents and him doing water cooling, man, it was like PC porn.
Listen, custom water cooling loops are god tier for both cooling and aesthetic choice. And trust me, if I was talented enough to know how to build with one of them, I would absolutely do it. But the maintenance of a custom water core loop is a bitch and a half, Keon. You got to drain that thing like every 6 months,
Hey, look, I'm willing to do it. For me personally, especially if you can squeeze out more performance, I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Keon. You're not going to really necessarily going to be squeezing out more performance because I have a 420 millimeter AIO cooler, right? My cooling performance for my CPU is going to be pretty comparable to your custom water setup. Like, because at the end of the day, your custom water loop is going to ultimately look very similar to my kind of setup because your GPU isn't going to be water cooled. Like, there's no.
No. If you're gonna do full custom, you got to include your GPU with your CPU to be able to get the complete benefits.
You didn't let me finish. Your GPU isn't going to be water cooled because the RTX 4000 series does not have any extreme cards like that. Because EVGA, which as you know stopped making NVIDIA cards, was the one that would typically make those custom graphics cards that allowed for those water blocks.
EVGA
is gone. All the GPUs that are coming out for 4000 series are fan based that are thick with those big old heat sinks.
Oh gosh.
I mean, you could unscrew the fans. You could unscrew the fans yourself and try to maybe install an aftermarket something, but it's not going to be like an official thing,
You don't foresee anybody like EK coming out with something that would fit for those?
I mean, maybe, but you're going to be, like I said, you're going to be removing the fans yourself to install that.
Hey, look, like I said, if my YouTube career can take off,
and listen, Keon,
definitely happy to build me another PC, man.
And Keon, if you're so obsessed with eking out maximum performance, you know what you would be doing, right? You'd be delidding your CPU, putting liquid metal, and doing direct on die.
Yes.
Cool.
Look. Well, after I watched J2 Cents, which he pointed towards Devour to talking about how he delidded the new AMD chips and
dropped
was
20
getting
Celsius
and dropped it 20 Celsius over what it would be. Like, come on, man, 20 C's lower, you could overclock that thing to death.
Yeah, I know. I would love to have 20 C lower, trust me, but you know why I don't do that, Keon?
Why is that?
Because if we're talking about the longevity of the chip, it doesn't add longevity. Like, you're actually like in order to do that, you're basically destroying your motherboard. You're basically destroying it, and you're covering it in basically Vaseline and all this other stuff.
Okay. I'm not going LM2. Okay, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not saying LM2 either, bud. I'm saying because
would I go sub ambient if I had a good chance to do it? Yes,
bro. I'm not talking about doing LM2 cooling either. I'm saying you still got to put Vaseline because of the way the new chips are designed for AMD. They have these little things. If you look at the chip, man, there's these little spaces for different parts that are conductive. You got to cover those up. If liquid metal gets on it, your chip is dead.
Yeah.
So you got to cover it with Vaseline.
I understand. No, look, I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying that, hey, look, I would be happy to cross that river when I get to it. My only thing is until said beautiful funds start raining into the account. My look, I can only watch from the sidelines and press my face up against the window and go, that CPU looks real nice.
Well, Keon, if you do delit it, man, I'll bow down to you for having the most badass 7950X. In the meantime, though, I'll be happy with my stock performance that I'm getting from it, and I'll actually be honestly, if you want to know the truth, Keon, once I'm done with my build, like once I actually put it together with Windows 11 on it, because I'm still waiting to get around to that. Once I do that, then I'm actually planning to downvolt my CPU to reduce temps so it doesn't hit the 95 degrees Celsius, because that makes me uncomfortable to have my CPU running like that.
Oh no, I'm all like, understand, I'm balls to the wall, bro. If I can get it, like I said, I wouldn't do LM2 type clocking, but yo, Linus did show that you can put like those water chillers on and bring it down, bring those temperatures down.
Bro, I'm just picturing like a freaking like alien style laboratory for you, where it's just massive water reservoirs. Like, you don't even have a case anymore, man. You just have it. No. I already know what you're gonna do. You're gonna submerge your motherboard and everything into that freaking oil. What do you call it? That non-conductive.
Yeah. I look, if I could get away with that, I'd do that too.
Oh my god,
I would do it. Come on, man. Get every ounce of performance out that you possibly can.
For what?
If I'm spending, X amount of dollars for the top end, I expect this thing to keep. Look, I want my benchmarks to be right on par with the YouTubers. If I'm not on the par with the YouTubers, I'm not doing it right.
Bruh, tell me what the extra 50 megahertz is going to do for you.
I don't know, but I will be happy doing it.
You're about to be dropping like 15,000. You're about to be dropping 15,000 on this build.
Like I said, Uber hasn't done it yet. Allow me to live that life. Maybe YouTube will. That I can write it all off.
Bro, you're just gonna have to drop out and you're gonna have to make an OnlyFans, Keon. That's what you're gonna need to do. YouTube ain't gonna pay you to make that kind of build, bro.
Oh man, hey, I'm just saying, man. I would love to do it. That's just me. I have always been dreaming about doing another PC build, and I watch hours on top of hours of like Linus Tech Tips, PC builds and stuff. Fastest PC builds on.
Yeah, but when he does it, bro, he's always like, yeah, and you probably shouldn't do this at home. Like,
yeah, and I will still do it. And the one that they did where they took what was it, a pool, not a pool, but it's like a fish tank water chiller, and put it and was able to drop the temps even more. I was like, that is closer to what I can do.
You
I was
do
like, I could
realize,
do that.
Keon, that aside from your temps, there is a raw like wattage. Like you're gonna run into a volt. Like if temps isn't what gets you, voltage is what stops you.
Yeah. Well, look, even with the guys that do LM2, they still can't get the voltage temps below like any higher than maybe 1.55 volts, and that's like negative 200 degrees Celsius.
Well, no, the reason why you don't go above that is because that's how you instantly kill your chip. It's not about the heat anymore. It's about what the chip can consume. Like technically speaking, if you want your chip to live, a long, healthy life and not die after, like, say, a month, you really don't want to go above like 1.35.
Yeah, true. That's true. But look, I understand where it comes when people think about it. Like, hey, look, you know what? You want the best fans. Which, hey, look, I don't know. Did you see Linus's last video he did?
I just saw it today with the
super
180 millimeter.
Blowmatrons.
Yeah, the 180 mil. Yeah.
He put two of them in there and was able to cool that thing better than the stock fan or the CPU. Come on, man.
I mean, look, if it wasn't for the fact that it was 90 dBm, it would probably blow a hole in my drywall because it's so strong. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing some fans like that, but
hey, look, I would have to wear ear protection to sit next to my
you wouldn't even be able
PC.
to game, bro. You wouldn't even be able to game or talk into the mic, bro. It would literally be like you sitting next to a jet engine.
They'd be like, we can't hear you. Turn left.
Bro, listen, if you're so into cooling and eking out the max performance, then why don't you freaking take apart your Samsung phone, add a custom water cooler to the SoC, root it and overclock that SoC so you can maximize the performance of your Samsung phone. And while you're at it, bro, why don't you install a custom battery, man? A nice 30,000 milliamp hour battery or something.
Oh, man. Look, like I said, I need disposable income, sir. Look, I had to finance these phones. I'm still paying off my Fold 4 right now. I'm still paying on it. So until it's paid off, I don't even want. Look, I put this thing inside a nice little pouch and then stick it in my pocket.
Hey, Keon, let me ask you another question real quick.
What's up?
Have you seen any 5G Plus yet down in DC?
None. Now, here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. So PA Tech, and he said good night. But PA Tech came through DC and went to a Wawa, which of all strange places. He stopped at a random Wawa for him. I know which Wawa it was because he told me where it was at. I go over there and I literally record this over 500 megabits per second, and it was all LTE on AT&T.
That's the AT&T that I know and love in Pittsburgh.
Godly, it's so random.
Nah, no, I'm saying that's consistent in Pittsburgh.
But that's random. Like the rest of like I said, the early on, that's the rest of the region. The region is sub 15 or 20. You get to the government buildings, it might spike to 200, but you get these weird outliers all over the place.
Hey, Keon, by the way,
complete outliers.
Keon, by the way, can you do me a solid?
What's up?
Can you email me your export your Ookla speed test results into a CSV from your phones and email them to me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them to Stetson.
Okay.
He's working on something.
Oh, all right. I'll do that. Matter of fact, we're almost pushing 2 hours, so I'm about to wrap this up now. Hey, Dennis, thank you for stopping by. If you want to let people know where you exist at, I know that you being a more popular YouTuber than you're on Stetson's channel and Best Phone Plans. Did I get that right?
Yep. Me and Stetson do a podcast on best phone plans, but hey, I'm not more popular than you, Keon. You're infamous across the internet, okay?
Oh, come on, man. I love
He's a he's a Magenta Thong founder.
Keon,
I knew
we
Brandon was gonna. I knew Brandon was gonna do it. I knew you were gonna do it, Brandon.
Keon, we love you at the end of the day. There were some times where we had our little bit of rough energy, but at the end of the day, you're a big old teddy bear. I can't stay mad at you.
Well, hey, look, I gotta stay true to who I am.
The pink thong, it can't come off.
Hey, look, I try to do my network testing middle of the road, man. Though I try to show it everything. I try to show exactly what it is, where I'm at. That's all I'll do.
You know what you should test then?
What's up?
You should test Xfinity Mobile.
Oh shit!
But Xfinity is running on Verizon,
right? But they have been deploying their own CBRS,
their own stuff, yeah.
And they got some Band 71. So I don't know if DC got any of it, but Pittsburgh does. Maybe you got to drop Pittsburgh.
I can tell you this much: nobody's using CBRS here, so it might be only Comcast in this area.
I
mean, only time I've seen CBRS used is on Verizon, and that's when I get around the government, around Capitol Hill. So that's the only time I've seen it. Other than that, I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Hey Dennis, do you see Comcast and Charter using each other CBRS's networks?
Yes, because they already do. Well, they already do it with their Wi-Fi hotspot sharing. And how soon?
So if I go into a Spectrum market, I will be able to use their CBRS or cable modem or whatever.
The Wi-Fi hotspots, yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously that's old. I mean, they've been doing that already for a minute.
Yeah, but as far as
but that's like I'm getting ready to take a trip to New York next week, so I'm gonna be finally be able to experience N77 in all its glory for the first time. So I'll be finally be ingratiated into the N77 family.
Oh, it might be congested.
Hey, yeah, if it is, it's gonna show.
Don't get your hopes up, man. N77 is already congested over here in Pittsburgh. Don't get your hopes up.
Hey, look, if it's congested, it's gonna show. That's why. Look, I might, people say that I might ride or die for T-Mobile, but T-Mobile has completely failed me on camera. And what can I say at that point? Oops, sorry. Look at that.
Listen, T-Mobile, I won't get into a big long rant, but I really just hope that T-Mobile will actually invest and then give the network the amount of resources it deserves. Because if they were to whip out a plan and say we'd invest an extra $10 billion or something over the next 4 years, T-Mobile could have an awesome network if they would just give it the resources and love that it needs.
That is a conversation for another good time.
All right, brother.
Most definitely, man. Hey, look, Brandon, where do you exist at on the web, sir?
I just exist on the web.
You say, do you just exist?
No, I said I just exist on the web. No comment.
You just exist. Through his cable modem. That's it.
Basically.
And as you can say, my YouTube, trying to get the YouTube platform off the ground, and the Community Tech channel and Community Tech channel on Twitter. Thank y'all for stopping by, and we'll say thank y'all for coming by, and God bless you, and good night.
Good night.